Have you ever knocked on a wall and heard something knock back? Not pipes, not the settling of wood, but something deliberate, something that waited for you to stop before responding. Tonight's story is not a folklore, not urban legend. It's a documented haunting that terrified an entire family and baffled investigators who couldn't explain what was happening inside of one quiet house. What makes this case especially disturbing is the house didn't feel just haunted. It interacted, it watched, it followed, and eventually, it answered. This is the true story of the Palmer haunting. In 1998, the Palmer family moved into the modest two-story home on the outskirts of a quiet Midwestern town. Nothing about the house stood out. No boarded windows, no tragic history disclosed, no warning signs. It sat on a narrow road surrounded by trees, far enough from neighbors that nights were completely silent. The family consisted of Mark Palmer, which was a construction worker, wife Elaine, and their two children, Sarah, which was 9, and Luke, that was 6. They moved in during late October. That detail will matter later. The first 2 weeks were completely normal, until the knocking started. It began softly. 3 knocks. Always at night. Always after midnight. Mark assumed it was plumbing. Elaine thought it might be animals. But there was a problem. The knocks didn't come from the walls. They came from inside them. Sometimes from the living room, sometimes from the hallway, sometimes directly behind the children's bedrooms' walls. Whenever Mark approached the sound, it stopped. Not faded, not echoed, stopped, as if whatever caused it was aware of being heard. The children noticed. 2 weeks later, Sarah refused to sleep in her room. She's told her parents that someone was standing in the corner at night. Not a shadow, not a shape. She described it as tall and wrong, with arms that bent so long and a head that tilted sideways always. Elaine dismissed it as imagination until Luke started waking up screaming. Luke said the man in the walls was counting. When she asked what he meant, Luke said, "Taps on the walls and waits. If I tap back, he gets closer." That night, Mark tested something. He knocked on the hallway wall. 3 slow taps. A few seconds passed, then 3 taps came back. After that night, the activity intensified. Doors opened on their own, footsteps were heard upstairs when no one was there. Cold spots formed in the center of rooms. Elaine began finding handprints in the bedroom mirror. They were not adult size, they were long, finger like. Sometimes they appeared on the ceiling. The family stopped sleeping at night. Cameras were installed. On the third night of recording, something appeared. At exactly 2:17 a.m., a dark shape moved across the hallways. It didn't walk, it slid. And just before the camera cut to static, a sound was recorded. Knocking from inside the lens. Their first voice was heard by Elaine. She was alone in the kitchen when she heard her name whispered directly behind her ear. She turned. No one was there. Over the next few nights, the voice grew louder. It mimicked Mark, then Sarah, then Luke. It spoke from the vents, from the closets, from behind the walls, but it never spoke clearly, except once. At 3:03 a.m., all 4 family members heard the same phrase. "You answered. Now I stay." That was the night Luke was found standing in the hallway, tapping on the wall. When Mark pulled him away, Luke screamed, "Doesn't like it when I stop." A paranormal researcher was brought in. They documented EMF spikes with no electrical source, temperatures dropped to over 20 degrees, audio recordings of knockings in empty rooms. One investigator knocked twice during a session. 2 knocks came back, then 3, then 4, as if something was learning. During the final session, a thermal camera captured a figure standing behind Mark, tall, thin, bent. When Mark turned around, the figure vanished. The lead investigator ended the session early. He later stated that this was the first case he ever walked away from. His final note read, "This entity is not trapped, it is invited." The Palmers moved out 3 days later. On their last night, the knocking stopped. The house was silent. Too silent. At 3:17 a.m., every door in the house slammed shut at once. From the hallways, a voice spoke, clearly and calmly, "Thank you for listening." The next morning, the family left everything behind. Furniture, photos, clothes. They never returned. The house still stands. It has been sold twice since. No family has stayed longer than a year. Neighbors report knocking sounds late at night, and sometimes, if you stand close to the walls and knock, something will knock back. So tonight, when your house creaks, or when the walls settle, when you hear something tapping softly in the dark, don't answer, because some things are only waiting to be acknowledged. Don't invite them in.